You ever had your entire life flipped upside down in front of your neighbors? That's what happened to me. One minute I was pulling into my driveway, the next the HOA president was finding drugs in my car, screaming that I was a criminal. She wanted to humiliate me, ruin me. What she didn't know was who I really was. And when she saw my FBI credentials, the look on her face was worth every second of silence I'd endured. Act 1. The Spark. My name is Michael Grant. I'm 52 years old, married to Emily, living in a quiet suburban community called Oak Ridge Estates. To most people, I'm just a middle-aged man who trims his hedges too often and walks his golden retriever every evening. I blend in. That's the way I like it. Because the truth, I'm the director of the FBI. And Oak Ridge Estates is where I hide in plain sight, giving my wife a peaceful life away from the chaos of Washington. But peace doesn't last when someone like Karen Whitfield is around. Karen, early 50s, hair-sprayed, stiff wardrobe straight out of a country club catalog, wasn't just president of the HOA. She thought she was queen of the neighborhood. Rules were her crown, fines her scepter. If your grass was an inch too long, you paid. If your car hung 6 inches past your driveway, you paid. My wife once planted rose bushes a little too high on the fence line. Karen marched right up, scissors in hand, and cut them herself. Community standards. She said like she was doing us a favor, and she never acted alone. She had her enforcers. Rick Dalton, big guy covered in tattoos, always strutting around in fake military gear. And Tommy Briggs, shaved head, heavyset, carried a baton like he was auditioning for Mall Cop of the Year. They patrolled our neighborhood like it was occupied territory. I ignored it at first. Kept my head down, let Karen think she had power. It was almost entertaining watching her pretend to run Oak Ridge like her personal kingdom. But then she made a mistake. She came after me directly. Act 2. Escalation and the turning point. It happened on a Thursday evening. I'd just flown back from D.C., parked my car, and was hauling a briefcase out of the trunk when Karen and her goons showed up. Rick blocked the front of my car. Tommy stood behind me, and Karen marched right up, clipboard under one arm, smug smile plastered across her face. "We've had complaints," she said loudly, making sure neighbors within earshot turned their heads. "Suspicious behavior. Possible narcotics. We're conducting an inspection." Before I could even answer, Rick reached into my car. A second later, he pulled out a small Ziploc bag of white powder from under my seat. The crowd gasped. Cameras came out. Karen pointed at me like she was unveiling a criminal on national TV. "Caught red-handed," she announced. I knew immediately what had happened. She'd planted it, probably slipped it in while I was out of town. Still, my neighbors didn't know that. All they saw was a bag of drugs and their HOA president delivering the big reveal. Rick grabbed my arm, yanking it behind my back, zip-tying me like I was some street thug. Tommy pushed me toward the clubhouse, barking orders. "Move." Emily came running from the house, tears streaming down her face. "Stop. This is a mistake. He's not. He would never." She tried to reach me, but Karen blocked her, sneering. "Interfering with an investigation makes you an accomplice," she hissed. And I stayed silent. It was one of the hardest moments of my life. To let them drag me like that, to hear my wife cry while neighbors whispered and filmed. I sat down in that clubhouse chair, wrists burning from the zip ties, and I thought, what if I just gave in? What if I let them win this round to protect Emily? Maybe if I confess to something small, it'll blow over. That doubt clawed at me. For a moment I almost believed their lie. But then I looked at Karen, her smug grin, her eyes gleaming like she'd finally conquered the one man she couldn't bully. And something inside me snapped back into place. I wasn't just Michael Grant, neighbor with hedges. I was Director Grant of the FBI. And the law wasn't hers to twist. That was when it happened. My wallet slipped out of my jacket pocket as Rick shoved me into the chair. My leather FBI credential case hit the floor, flipped open. The silver seal caught the light. Karen bent to pick it up, and the second her eyes hit that badge, her face froze. Color drained. The room went silent. I leaned forward, voice low, steady. "Karen, every lie leaves fingerprints. Her hand trembled. She tried to laugh it off. Nice prop. Fake ID. But right then, perfect timing. My phone buzzed on the table. It lit up with a coded call from Deputy Director Carter back in D.C. The screen flashed. Protocol 7 activated. Extraction ETA 2 minutes. The neighbors saw it. Rick saw it. Even Tommy, who usually looked like a wall of meat, shifted uncomfortably. Karen's smile faltered. 2 minutes later, the street filled with the roar of black SUVs. Act 3. The climax and collapse. Engines cut off. Doors slammed. A dozen agents in jackets marked FBI poured out, weapons holstered but hands firm. My Deputy Carter walked in, voice loud enough for the whole block. The man you paraded around tonight is Director Grant of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You've just interfered with federal operations. The room erupted. Neighbors gasped, whispers shot like wildfire. Phones streamed everything. Karen tried to recover. He's lying. It's fake. That bag of powder. Carter lifted the evidence bag Rick had handed over, already gloved, already tested with a rapid kit. He held it up to the light. These prints. They're yours, Mrs. Whitfield. Karen's jaw dropped. She staggered back, stammering, "No, that's impossible." Rick, sensing the ship was sinking, dropped his fake military hat and muttered, "She told us to plant it. We didn't want to." Tommy nodded quickly. "Yeah, she made us." The neighbors turned fury in their eyes. "She set him up. She planted it." Voices rose like a mob. Karen collapsed into a chair, her bright pink blazer suddenly clownish under the harsh clubhouse lights. Her hands shook, mascara running down her cheeks. Carter stepped forward, cuffs in hand. "Karen Whitfield, you are under arrest for obstruction of justice, conspiracy to plant false evidence impersonating law enforcement, and embezzlement of HOA funds." The crowd parted as agents pulled her up. She screamed, flailed, tried to twist free, but nobody helped her. Not Rick, not Tommy, not the neighbors who once feared her. I stood rubbing the deep red marks on my wrists and looked her dead in the eyes. The law doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the people. And tonight, it came for you. The room fell quiet, the kind of silence that only comes after a storm. No cheering, no celebration, just the weight of justice finally landing where it belonged. Final line. Abuse of power always ends the same way, crushed under the weight of real justice.